Hey folks, Joe Morgan here. I just thought I would come on and share some thoughts and context in relation to the news that broke yesterday that the EU Commission are taking infringement action against the Irish state as a result of what they see to be failures in implementing market surveillance designed to ensure concrete products are fit for purpose that enter the marketplace here. So, a momentous day, I think. Um, Our objective within the EU thread of the campaign has always been to convince the Commission that there was a case to be answered in Ireland and that they should get involved. And today we have met that objective. So delighted that it has happened. And just thought, in terms of context over the last 12 months, slightly more, that have led to that particular decision. Just thought I'd share some thoughts. So, ultimately, this thread goes way back to June 2021, when Mr. Paddy Diver took us all to Dublin, and the sheer volume of people that attended that protest caught the attention of MEP Luke Flanagan, and he approached two campaigners, Anne Owens and Eileen Doherty, and offered his help. And that was really, in effect, the starting point of EU engagement. Um, there has been a number of events, I should probably refer to them as, over the last 12 months or slightly more, that I feel have had a direct influence in terms of the decision yesterday. Um, and one important one would have been back in May 2023. Myself and Lisa Hone, Paul Dunlop, Eileen Doherty, and Andreas Lehman went to a meeting in Brussels with the two representatives of the EU Commission. And look, I think it's fair to say we all left that meeting somewhat deflated. There was no commitment at that point from the Commission to engage. Um, that said, they were quite clear in that um, they would not get involved if the issue was regional and historic. Now, on the flip side of that, they said to us, if you can prove to us that it is national in nature and current, they would get involved. So, if you like, coming out of that meeting, that was our homework, to provide that evidence to them in order to influence their decision to engage against Ireland. Now, more recently, uh, in terms of a couple of events that have been key, probably none more so than the publication of the EU Parliament report earlier this year. Personally, I think that has been hugely influential in just moving the EU Commission decision in our favour. But even beyond that, there was a couple of key articles that caught my attention earlier this year. And the first of those was the Irish Independent article, which was published probably 68 weeks back now. And that article was effectively um, a summary, if you like, of Petrolab's involvement in the crisis in Ireland over the last number of years, right? So they published a summary of their own involvement over that time frame. And that article made two very important statements. The first is they spoke to evidence proving that the issue was national, from Donegal to Wexford and beyond. Um, and secondly, that article referred to evidence that they were finding deleterious minerals, excessive levels of deleterious minerals in new builds. So it struck me that in lieu of the two asks that the Commission had put on us back in May 2023, that article had indeed answered those two questions. So I sent that article over to the Commission earlier this year, probably about 4, maybe 5 weeks back, and added some context in terms of the meeting in May 2023 and stated that I thought we had met the bar they'd set us and was looking for, yeah, so going back to what I was saying, so I thought that article had answered those two questions. And I sent them on to the Commission and asked them, has this met the bar that they were looking for back in May? And I didn't get a response. But subsequently, as I often do, it was in conversation with Paul Dunlop. Paul mentioned a couple of research papers that had come out of the Iron Sulfate conference in Canada earlier this year, and one in particular, which was a research paper which effectively was the scientific research and data that sat behind the Irish Independent article that had been published by Petrolab. There was another one, which was specifically around flamboidal pyrite, which was also of interest. So I sent on both of those research papers to the Commission about 3 to 4 weeks ago at this point. And I did get a response this time. And the response was simply that the data that we provided was very interesting and that they needed a few more days to make a decision on next steps. So we now know, given the press release from the European Commission yesterday, what their intent was, and they have indeed taken infringement action against the Irish government, which is exactly what we wanted them to do. So what does that mean? Well, from my own personal perspective, this is uncharted waters. I don't think we can exactly say what they will do. The complaint, along with the report that came from the EU Parliament, did have three asks in it. The first was around market surveillance and ensuring market surveillance is fit for purpose in ensuring that concrete products manufactured in this country are also fit for purpose before they go to site and are put to use in building properties. So that is one. So I would expect a response to that ask and asks from the Commission to the Irish government in that regard. Now, we also, within the complaint, covered off the issues that we've seen with the existing scheme. And off the back of the meeting in the Gateway in Inishowen, which was led by Michael Doherty and a number of groups involved in the campaign, redress focus groups, MAG, 100% redress, all involved in that particular initiative. And after that meeting, I did a little bit of a comparative in terms of the People's document and the complaint, and broadly speaking, they were aligned. So all of those issues were also in the complaint. So I don't know, but I would hope that given the EU Commission are acting, that we may get some response there. And if nothing else, the political pressure that an EU infringement brings with it may well in and of itself be enough to move that needle and encourage the government to make some changes to the scheme. But we don't know that yet. The last one was we'd also asked for a public inquiry, and that was reiterated in the EU Parliament report. So I would hope that we would see pressure there from the Commission to make sure that that happens and that we finally see some level of accountability and liability established. That would be fantastic to see that happen. So in terms of next steps, like we'll have seen that the Irish government now have a couple of months to respond to the infringement notice that was issued by the Commission. I believe that's over a week ago at this point, to see what happens. So I'd expect the Attorney General in Dublin is busy. I expect he'll be asked for legal advice on this occasion relative to what their stance is. But I would say this, the EU Commission did not take that decision lightly. Um, they are convinced there is a case to be answered, and they have volumes of scientific research and data available to them now, that have convinced them that that is the case. So we now have, as impacted homeowners, we have the weight, the legal weight of a very powerful institution within the EU ecosystem on the case. And, I think that can only be good in terms of meeting the campaign objectives, whatever they are. And I would think at a minimum, uh, if the Irish government are found to be remiss, and I would suggest the fact that the EU Commission have infringed them might even go that far in and of itself. But if there is, if the Irish state are seen to be remiss relative to implementation of EU regulation, and there is liability established, um, I would firmly believe that that would have implications relative to existing legal cases that are active in the state. Um, and I know Coleman Legal are aware of developments yesterday, and I've no doubt Dave will be keeping a close eye on developments over the coming months. So I just wanted to share those thoughts with you guys. I think this is a huge milestone. It's not that we're done, but it's a significant step that we now have the EU Commission involved relative to trying to rectify what is a crisis across the country at the minute. Thank you.